This is our fourth episode of the Egypt series. Hope you have watched our first 3 episodes of our Egypt tour, covering pyramids of Cairo, different stories of Cairo, including papermaking from papyrus plant, the magnificent Cairo Museum, where we covered Tutankhamun's gold mask, and the great city of Alexandria. Please watch these episodes on our YouTube channel. Now let's visit Karnak and Luxor Temple. Hope you will enjoy the tour. We took an Air Egypt flight from Cairo to Luxor for the continuation of our Egypt tour. Luxor is a city on the east bank of the Nile River in the southern Egypt. After arriving in Luxor in the early morning, we checked into the Nile cruise boat for the next 4 days. Starting off the Nile cruise was on the next day, so we had a full 1 day to see Karnak Temple, Luxor Temple and the Valley of the Kings. With the prospect of floating on the Nile, strangely, first thing came to our mind was Agatha Christie's death on the Nile. Also, this is the Nile providing for the development of civilization for the last 5,000 years. We were excited. Soon after, we went to the Great Temple of Karnak. The complex is a vast open site and includes the Karnak Open Air Museum. It is believed to be the second most visited historical site in Egypt, only after the Giza Pyramids complex. The Karnak Temple consists of 4 main parts, of which only the largest, the Precinct of Amun-Re, is open to the public. Amun-Re is the most widely recognized Egyptian god, expressed as the most important fusion from the sun god Ra.
Listen to the sounds of Karnak. The silence was deceptive, since the city for 20 centuries has resounded so much to the sound of song and harp that it was almost alive with music.
One famous aspect of Karnak Temple is the Great Hypostyle Hall in the Precinct of Amun-Re, a hall area of 5,000 meters square with 134 massive columns arranged in 16 rows. 122 of these columns are 10 meters tall and others are 12 to 21 meters tall with a diameter of 3 meters, so they are massive. The large stone pieces on the top of these columns are estimated to be weighing 70 tons. So we're naturally wondering how on earth they moved such a weight up to such a height so many years ago. Our tour guide advised, a common theory is that large ramps were constructed of sand, mud, brick or stones, and then the large stones were towed up the ramps. Irrespective of the process and the mechanism, the structure and the architectures were magnificent.
Naturally, there are the baser tasks of the city. The crowded farmyards, the laden trellises, the papyrus presses, and the nobler tasks, the working of gold and silver, the polishing of the columns, the fashioning of the sandstone blocks.
But above all, there is the fabulous machinery of the universe. For God is in charge and is responsible for the functioning of the world.
Built over a period of 1500 years, approximately 30 pharaohs contributed to the buildings and constructions, enabling the Karnak Temple to reach to a size and to a level of complexity and diversity not seen elsewhere in the world. From Karnak, we went to the Luxor Temple. The Luxor Temple was constructed approximately 1400 BC. This is a large, ancient Egyptian temple complex located on the east bank of Nile River in the ancient city of Thebes, today known as Luxor. Luxor's Avenue of Sphinx, an avenue of human-headed sphinx in a straight line for about 2700 meters, connecting the temples of Karnak and Luxor. The grand Luxor Temple, Pylon and Obelisk of Ramesses II welcomed us. The Luxor Temple was built with sandstone. Major parts of the temple were built by Tutankhamun and Ramesses II. To the rear of the temple there are chapels built by Alexander. Marble statues of Tutankhamun and his wife were spectacular, although taste of time has damaged the structures. The sun coat of Amun-Re was extraordinary. The columns were spectacular. Today there is an active mosque located within the ancient temple, standing on the ancient columns. Part of the ancient Luxor Temple was converted to a church by Romans in 4th century and then to a mosque in 6th century AD by the following dynasties. Covering a period over more than 3,500 years of continuous and active religious worship, this makes Luxor Temple the oldest religiously active building in the world. The grand colonnade, made with bright yellow sandstone, was spectacular. We had an amazing time passing through Karnak and then Luxor Temple. Never realized how the time passed. In that evening, we went back to Karnak Temple for a light and sound show. Karnak Light and Sound Show is a 90-minute Hollywood-style show that recounts the history of Thebes, the ancient Luxor, and the lives of many pharaohs who built the Karnak Temple.
This sacred lake, on the banks of which you have come to dream, for one can only understand by dreaming, this mirror set in the rock has reflected the finest firework display of antiquity.
Here was conceived and lived the great week of the creation of the world and the separation of the earth from the waters. You are at the house of the Father.
As soon as one cluster of stars faded, another pharaoh fired another salvo. And this will be named forever the splendor of Thebes.
It was worth a visit, particularly for a chance to walk through the beautifully lit temple at night. Lightings on Karnak's columns made the whole building so spectacular. We wondered how Karnak looked like at the peak of the glorious time in ancient Thebes all those years ago. We went back to our boat for the night as we planned to visit the Valley of Kings before starting our Nile cruise next day. Hope you enjoyed these extraordinary temples of Karnak and Luxor. Thanks for watching our travel videos.